How does a federal prison become a drug factory? And why did 5 inmates die within days while paperwork claimed something else? The Blackstone story begins with a warden who leveraged politics, not training, to seize control, and ends with a cartel pipeline and a courtroom reckoning. We'll show you the exact steps investigators used: heat scans, aerial surveillance, and highway seizures to find East Hollow, the ghost facility that ran like a pill mill. Then we follow the money to Panama and Malta, and hear from the parent who confronted that warden as the charges were read. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Callahan didn't come up through the tears. He arrived with endorsements, not academy hours, and within 2 weeks he held the keys to housing, medical, and security. Supervisors who'd spent a decade on the floor found themselves reassigned to training rooms and special projects. The rhythm at Blackstone flipped. Briefings moved from open roll calls to closed-door huddles. Paper approvals replaced in-person sign-offs. A facility known for predictable counts and clean audits turned inward, and the first break in the pattern came fast. 5 bodies in 7 days, followed by memos that read like everything was routine. Official toxicology leaned on a familiar script. Therapeutic ranges, no acute intoxication, pending confirmations. Investigators saw something else in the incident logs. Shallow breathing noted before chow. Blue lips reported in RHU cells, and Narcan runs that didn't clear symptoms. Families got voicemail trees and form letters. Some were told natural causes on day 1, then still under review a week later. The lag created a fog where facts should have been, but the dates on transport sheets told a harder story. Same units, same windows, same missing footage. Restricted housing became a blind spot overnight. Cameras that had years of uptime went black during the same 2-hour blocks around shift changes. Maintenance tickets showed problems fixed, but no one signed the work logs and no parts were checked out. Supervisors rotated crews every 3 days, which broke continuity and left junior staff writing the reports. The control room fed live views to dead screens, and nobody could say who approved the override. When the lights came back, the timeline had holes you could drive a cart through. A former staffer laid out what the badges showed. Doors pinged open without the holder present. 2 users with day schedules appeared in RHU at 2:13 and again at 4:41, while their duty rosters placed them in admin. The same staffer flagged a chain of custody gap in the evidence lockers used for pill seizures. Intake forms listed blister packs with embossed marks that matched common meds, but the intake weights didn't match the counts. On exit, the numbers balanced. The middle line, the verification check, was blank. Counterfeit pills mirror real tablets down to the scoreline, and that trend has hit closed systems hard. Clusters of overdoses in U.S. prisons have been traced to fentanyl-laced tablets disguised as routine medications, sometimes marked as anti-anxiety or pain relief. When labels and shapes look right, mislabeling risks multiply. In places where inmates rely on pill calls and nurse carts, one adulterated batch can move quietly and fast. One mother kept carbon copies of every grievance her son mailed home. Dates, times, and cell numbers in the margin. She filed them in order. Clogged vents, no hot water. Pills make me dizzy. Written 3 days before the first fatal call. When she pushed the facility for records, the internal system showed nothing for that month. Her stack didn't care. Her dates lined up with the week bodies dropped, and with the nights, the cameras fell dark. We cross-referenced the death time stamps with camera downtime and delayed emergency calls. The overlaps weren't random. 3 events hit during the same 90-minute gap. 2 more fell inside the window when the maintenance ticket said resolved, but the feeds were still down. Medical runs left the unit late, and response clocks started after the first witness statements, not the first radio call. That narrowed the exposure window to a repeatable block. Confirmatory screens told the part nobody wrote in the summaries. Investigators flagged fentanyl analogs masked as legitimate meds, the kind of compounds that slip past quick tests but show up in targeted assays. The initial reports leaned on screenings that read clean for standard panels, while the follow-ups showed spikes consistent with synthetic opioids. 5 inmates died because the pills that looked safe weren't. And if death can hide in blind spots, movement can too. The next turns out to be where those corridors lead. Those blind spots weren't accidents. They were lanes. Service corridors at Blackstone ran under the tiers and along the utility spine, mapped like a maze with doors that opened onto loading docks and laundry bays. When movements happened off the books, those lanes offered a quiet route from restricted housing to transport vans that never hit the front loop. The people targeted were the ones least likely to be believed. Women who filed on harassment found their complaints buried, stamped with insufficient evidence. Younger inmates who pushed back ended up on movement orders with no return entries. The paper trail ended mid-sentence and the next line never appeared. Families felt it first. A mother called daily only to hear that rosters were under review. Names that showed on Monday vanished on Wednesday. At the same time, an off-site complex on the edge of town came alive after midnight. Thermal scans showed heat signatures where a shuttered apartment block should have been cold. Trucks rolled past the main gates and took a side access road. Tail numbers repeated on alternating weeks. The pattern matched activity spikes inside Blackstone by a few hours, as if one heartbeat traveled down the highway and kept pumping somewhere else. The investigative path started above the fence line. Aerial reconnaissance caught faint lights behind boarded windows at a place locals called East Hollow. Thermal imaging confirmed nonstop machinery and bodies moving in shifts. Highway seizures from earlier months, barrels labeled as solvents, drums with misprinted manifests, linked precursor chemicals to that location. Inside, the scale told the story. Rows of steel presses ran shoulder to shoulder, and tables held tray after tray of white powder ready for dye sets shaped like familiar meds. Labels mimicked over-the-counter vitamins and common prescriptions. Output estimates topped 1 million counterfeit doses, many hot with fentanyl. An industrial tablet press makes this math ugly. A single unit can stamp tens of thousands of pills per hour, and with 2 lines staggered, nighttime runs stack up fast. Dyes match real brands. Colorants blend to standard shades. By dawn, pallets carry containers that pass a casual glance, including child-friendly shapes that mask a lethal payload. That supply chain needed cover on both ends, and it had it. Shell vendors and front warehouses formed the middle. Cartel networks have used those layers before, and cases tying CJNG to counterfeit pills follow the same playbook. Incorporation papers list borrowed addresses. Freight bills show short-haul transfers between empty buildings. Payments move through small banks that don't ask many questions. The money trail in this case threaded offshore through Panama and Malta, with crypto wallets acting like turnstiles. Funds flowed in as proceeds, then moved back as kickbacks to staff, contractors, and anyone who kept the doors open. When the strike came, it came in 3 phases. Team 1 drew the guards west with noisy movement. Team 2 slipped into service corridors and cut inward to a locked room holding 3 hostages. Team 3 breached the loading bay with precision charges, dropped the power, and froze the presses. The take included machinery, raw chemicals, and a ledger. That ledger held coded inmate IDs, and those codes matched the missing transfer entries that never returned to Blackstone's rolls.